Hello, it's Stuart, the Unrepentant Atheist, and I've got what I think is a fairly interesting call here. It's going back several years. Tracie Harris and Jen Peebles on the Atheist Experience. Kim is calling in from the UK, and sad to say, but 90% of calls that come in from the UK are just completely bizarre and seem to me to be scraping intellectually the bottom of the barrel. So anyway, let's go with Kim. He's basically phoning in to, he's making some weird claim that God exists in the limbic system because science has discovered that when people believe in a God, they've been able to map it somehow to the limbic system in the brain, and that therefore it means that God exists. So let's just, we're going into the call about 15 minutes. They've been going, and I don't want to play the whole call, so let's see where the end of the call leads us.
I'm trying to prove existence outside of concept, except for the fact it's linked to a physical realm inside the human mind.
But to say that it's linked to that, and not that that's where it exists, I guess is where we're having a disagreement, or at least some sort of disconnect. I'm saying that the fact that it's in your head as a concept demonstrates the fact that it's in your head as a concept. I don't think it can be read as more than that, or at least I'm unaware of evidence that it should be read as more of that, as more than that.
Okay, then let's define existence then, because I think that would help as well.
Well, I believe concepts can exist, but I don't think that having a concept means that something inhabits, has its own manifestation in some way.
If the limbic system, part of the brain exists, I'm saying it's specifically...
Okay, I mean, all right, if you want to define God as if it exists in the limbic system of the brain, and for you that means that God exists, I've got no problem with that. If you want to say that God exists on that basis, I mean, that's fine with me. It doesn't map to anything outside of your head. Or at least it doesn't map to anything outside of your head which is demonstrably real. But if he wants to say that, and if he wants to say that he's a theist on that basis, because he's got the concept in his limbic system in his brain, then I've got no problem with that personally.
Link there.
If you're saying that it manifests as mapping in that area, I would say fine. And I guess if that's all God would be, then I would say a person who holds that concept of God, I would probably embrace as an atheist.
Right. Well, I identify as an atheist who could explain the limbic system of the brain and how God exists.
Oh, see, they tagged you with a T. Yeah. And so I'm going to say I love our production group because they're awesome and they do all the screening, and I could not love them more for that. But yeah, I think I was coming at this from you doing more than just saying it's a concept in someone's head, because you were tagged as a theist. So I was like waiting for, how does this get to theism? And what you're saying is
miscommunication. That's miscommunication on their part.
It's okay. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not.
He's a liar. It's not miscommunication on their part. You'll hear why in a moment.
I'm not saying that like you lied to get,
No, he did lie, and you'll find out why.
Priority calling. That is definitely not. I don't mean to imply that. I'm implying no.
Guys, they asked me if I'm a theist or an atheist, and I said I'm a nonconformist.
Yeah, he says he's a nonconformist. They asked, are you a theist or an atheist? He said he's a nonconformist. Now, in my understanding, a nonconformist is a Christian who does not embrace the orthodox view of Christianity, more or less. But nonconformists, as far as I know, tend to be theists, and they tend to be Christians. So him calling himself a nonconformist is completely misleading, dishonest as well.
Right.
Well, this is why we ask, though. Okay, this is why we ask, because we do give priority to theist callers. So people should be clear. Even if you don't like the labels, try to give us some indication, because
She's going easy on him. If it was me on this show, I would have told him that he's a lying time waster, and I would have hung up on him already.
We do say on the air, and we do promote for the show, that we take priority for theist callers. What I usually do is all the first callers that come in as theists, I will take those calls first, and then I take the atheists who have been waiting.
Fair enough.
Okay. No, I'm just explaining that for the audience, like people that are watching.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily for your benefit, because we're already on the call.
So he's come onto the show. He's pretended that he's a theist. He spent 20 minutes arguing that God exists because God is a concept in the brain in the limbic system. The limbic system exists, therefore God exists. And then he turns around and says he's an atheist and that he told the call screeners he's a nonconformist, which, 99.9% of people would assume that means he's a nonconformist Christian. And now he's wasting more time, and you won't believe how he finishes off this call.
Obviously, you guys are in America, and there's a different audience.
Sure,
right?
sure.
So I'm a long time.
Yeah, well, in Britain as well, nonconformists tend to be Christians, not atheists.
Viewer.
Okay, well, I don't think we disagree that
I mean, if he says he's a nonconformist, what is it in a sort of non-theist worldview that he's not conforming to? He doesn't really explain that.
God exists as a concept in your brain that can be mapped. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. Hooray.
I think it's specifically linked to the limbic system of the brain, right?
And it may be.
I'm curious,
He's made that
why
point.
you think that.
Well, I think he's saying that would be where the mapping would occur, and I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, based on what, like,
has there been a study where they mapped God in that area? I think is what Jen is asking.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys can have a look at it and I don't know. Maybe I can call in again and we can talk about the limbic system. But can I move on to something else?
He's just spent 20 minutes on the atheist experience on false pretenses, lying that he's a theist when really he's an atheist. He's wasted 20 minutes, and now he wants to talk about something else.
We've got a bunch of callers.
Yeah, we usually don't do like more than a topic, and like we're on the second call, and we're like at almost 5:30 here. I'll tell you what, though, if
I'm very curious if anyone has ever read any WikiLeaks in the studio at all. Has anyone ever read any WikiLeaks?
I don't
even head count.
Why would that be?
Yeah, why is that
at all?
Why are we? Why are you asking this question?
Because last week, Matt just hung up on someone and claimed they were a conspiracy theorist, but none of you have verified anything, and you call yourselves skeptics.
I don't know what this is about. Whoa! When have I ever called myself a skeptic?
Yeah.
I've watched the show for a long time.
Okay.
I have never called myself a skeptic.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But I am curious as to whether anyone has actually looked at WikiLeaks.
And just to let people know, that was not because I'm like, hey man, I'm no skeptic. Those skeptics are. No, it's that I'm not sure that I'm really that good at debunking stuff that I would label myself a skeptic. So I consider skeptics to be people that are far more skeptical than me and more capable of assessing claims than I am. So just FYI. Well, I didn't want people to think I was like distancing myself for some negative reason. It's like
Well, I don't really quite get there. Why Tracie? I know she's explained it because she doesn't consider herself to be as sufficiently high level skeptic to call herself a skeptic. I consider myself to be a skeptic. I've spent time debunking things. I don't think I'm particularly brilliant at it, but I think I do it reasonably well. And I think Tracie does it reasonably well also. So she's being a bit hard on herself there.
I just don't consider myself on that level. So I just sort of am like, I'm here, I'm talking, I'm having conversations, I'm thinking things through, we're fleshing stuff out. That's what's going on. If somebody else calls it skeptical, then that's what they call it. But I don't think that I'm on that level.
Fair enough. Okay, I don't want to label you like I would have to fit into one of your labels when I called in the show, right? It's not nice to be
sure. Well, I mean, we have to prioritize the calls, so yeah.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, see how dishonest he is. Now he's throwing back the fact that he's lied about being a theist at Tracie on this sort of mutual, let's not label each other pretense.
Maybe you need a third option, someone who's a non-conformist.
Or maybe you just need to answer the question because it's a binary question. You're either an atheist or a theist.
No, because I've proved the existence of God within the limbic system of the brain.
No, you've proven the concept.
Right.
People think about it.
No atheist is going to say that there does not exist a concept of God in some people's heads. I mean, I don't know. I've never met that atheist. I've heard atheists who say that concept is irrational or that it doesn't make any sense and that it's ill-defined. But I have never heard somebody say that there's no such thing as a concept of gods.
It might make sense if you were tortured and you needed something to
what might make sense? They say that the concept doesn't make sense in the when people try to explain what their gods are, that they're like irrational and self-contradicting, and
I get that.
Okay.
I'm curious about WikiLeaks because you guys
Don't know what
We don't give a fuck about WikiLeaks.
What is the thing with WikiLeaks?
Because guys, we live under
Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah.
So
At last, Tracie finally got rid of him. I mean, it's so easy just to press the button. I mean, the thing about WikiLeaks is, I believe, I've read through the comments. He's actually in the comments on this page. I'll put a link in the description. And it's something like 100 comments. He's talking about satanic abuse, rituals, etc., all sorts of conspiracy nonsense. This guy is highly embarrassing to the United Kingdom, and I think the host just entertained him for far too long. He's dishonest, and I just thought I would play it for you though, because I found it. I still find these things interesting, even if, I mean, it's kind of entertaining, when a slippery fish like Kim calls in and is dishonest to that extent. Plus this thing that God exists because he's a concept in the brain. I mean, I've heard that bandied around before, although theists usually say that if the concept of God could only exist in the brain if there really is a God. I mean, I've heard that argument, but he didn't play that argument. He just seemed to say that God is a concept in the limbic system. The limbic system exists, therefore, in some sense, God exists. And then this whole thing about him being a nonconformist, I just found him very irritating. Okay, I hope that didn't irritate you too much. Leave some comments. I'll be interested to know what you've got to think about this video. Bye for now.